Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, my name is Jeanette and my channel name and Instagram is The Fashion Mess. So today I wanted to do a video on what it's like to work for Instagram boutiques. Now this video is not to bash anyone, it's just my personal experience. Now I have worked with various Instagram boutiques, so if you guys don't have where I've worked in the past and stuff like that, please don't comment it down below or try to figure out what's what. Like, it doesn't even matter like which one I'm talking about. I'm just telling you guys the overall experience. And I decided to do this video because people are always like, oh, I want to work at an Instagram boutique, or can you get me a job? Like every time I work somewhere, people always message me, can I work here or there? And this is my experience. If you guys want to know or are interested, then just keep on watching. So as I mentioned, I have worked for 4 different Instagram boutiques. Now what I mean by that is that they're just Instagram boutiques that are pretty popular on Instagram, or that have a larger following, or that kind of just started on Instagram. So some of them are physical locations and some of them were just online e-commerce. So when I worked for these Instagram boutiques, I mostly worked like social media, marketing, graphic design, and I also did photo editing and also styling and stuff. In one of the stores, I actually worked the storefront as well. So I kind of did a little bit of everything. First thing I want to talk to you guys about is the experience. So what I will say about working for Instagram boutiques is that you're working very closely to the owners, because it's a small business. So you really do get the experience of a small business, running a small business, what it takes. Is one thing, and probably the biggest thing that I have learned from working with these Instagram boutiques is how the industry works. I've actually have gotten like actual physical experience. I do know, and I have had access to the fashion industry, the wholesale district. Some people know me on there already and they recognize me and stuff. So it is nice to have experience. So if you're mostly just looking to go to an Instagram boutique to get experience, then I do highly recommend it, just because you are going to get literal experience. You're going to learn so much. Like at this point right now, I've learned so much that I can potentially probably have my own business and kind of know about it. I'm not saying I know everything, but I'm just saying like I would know more so of how it works, where I need to go, what I need to do and stuff like that. Obviously there's so much still to learn, but I'm just saying for someone that doesn't know anything and is trying to open up a business, I know more, if that makes sense. If you guys are interested or want to open up your boutique one day, I do recommend you guys to work closely with them. Now, what I did want to mention for responsibilities, your job description won't just state one thing. So if you're not okay with doing multiple things and just asking, like being pulled different ways, asking for different things, then maybe I wouldn't recommend, unless you're going for an Instagram boutique that is really has a bigger team and everyone has their own positions. Because for the most part, the one that I worked for, they were small teams. So a lot of things laid on me and a lot of things I took responsibility of doing. I will say that with the job descriptions, you will have to wear a lot of hats. Now, that could be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you see it. Again, this is all your guys' personal preference. I'm just telling you guys straight up. For the most part, what you are asked in an interview is not what you're going to be doing. It's not just it of what you're going to be doing. You're going to be adding a bunch of things that you're like, what the fuck? So if you're comfortable doing that, obviously the good thing about that as well is that you do learn a lot more, and it is more skills that you can add to your resume when you are done. The thing I'm going to talk about that's super important is the pay. So this can go either good or bad. Now what I mean by that is because when you first go into an Instagram boutique, there are small businesses, so most of the time they will want to start you at a lower pay, obviously, depending on your job title or whatever it is. I've experienced both. So I have experience starting at a lower pay, and then when the 3 months are up or whatever, then I get a higher raise. Or I started at like a decent pay, you know, a decent raise, like a lot more than minimum wage. So it's just like depending on the company. And one thing I will suggest you guys is when you are interviewing, you do talk about that, especially if you're going to be providing materials, equipment. Even though maybe you might start smaller or whatever, like you can increase your pay higher because your revenue is actually making a difference and it's noticeable, the work that you're putting in, and it's making a difference and stuff like that. So you can really shine by depending on how much work you do or what you want to do or creative new ideas or whatever. So you can bring up like more sales, which will then you can ask for a raise. So if the company is doing bad and you ask for a raise, they're not going to give it to you. That's a risk that you're willing to take when you work for small business, because you never know. There's always an area where it slows down, you know, certain months, and there's an area when it goes really high, and then you could benefit off that. Your input is really important, and you make a difference in the company, and you can see it because it's a smaller team, if that makes sense. As far as like a corporate, like they kind of already have the pay sets, and they can maybe afford more or less, or when you get to this point, then for sure you're gonna get that. Like for my boyfriend is in a union, so every 6 months he gets a raise, and that's not like, oh, I have to ask. No, like it's just automatically. And I have experience where sometimes, you know, they tell me, oh, after the probation I don't get a raise. So it's like, you know, so it just depends. Like I said, it just depends, but just know that that is a possibility, and you can either get paid good because you're making a difference, or you can get paid smaller because the company just doesn't want to invest so much money in you. Well, I do want to talk about benefits because that is important. Now, if you just want to go in there and you just want to like gain a little experience and then peace out, or you're in high school and shit, then fuck it, you know, go for it. But because you're not really caring about the benefits. But if you are trying to grow with the company, most small companies do not offer a benefits package or benefits program and stuff like that. Now, I don't expect them to be honest, but I did want to bring that up because I know that some people are really interested and want to know about that. Now, I never really experienced any benefits like dental insurance or health insurance. If your spouse has insurance and then you're married, then obviously you can get benefits through there. There's no point of you having double benefits, if that makes sense. So if you do want to do that, then that's something that maybe could possibly work for you, because you have those other benefits to rely on. But for the most part, small businesses and owners do not have a benefits package plan for you. The thing I want to talk about is now things being taken by word of mouth. Now, what I mean by that is, because like I said, with the corporate, things are already set. So these are rules that are going to follow, and then when this happens, then you get this, and if it doesn't, then you get this. And a lot of the things with small business owners is they don't have like an employee like book or anything like that. Like you're just relying on their word of mouth, or maybe because they were in a good mood that day, then they told you that they're going to give you a bonus, and then it's the day of and you don't even get a bonus. It's like, is one thing that I will say that did suck. It didn't happen with all of them, but it did happen with some. It just sucks because you are expecting, like, you can't just say like, hey, well, in 2 months I'm gonna give you your raise, right? And then the 2 months come and it's past the 2 months, and then like I get, as a business owners, like I get why it's not that easy, but that at the same time, don't say it then, you know. Like if you're unsure that you can do it, then don't say it, because for an employee that is a lot, and the employee expects that. Because I wish that they just wouldn't say comments, because then I expect it, and when I don't get it, then I feel remorse with you. Does that make sense? And that's not what happened with me, but I'm just saying, like sometimes employees can take it personal and get hurt and feel like shit. For instance, what happened to me was that I was actually like doing extra work for them. Like this was not out of my job description, and this was actually bringing this person revenue. This employer told me that they would give me commission or whatever. So when the next payroll came, I asked for the commission and they didn't give it to me, and they told me at the end of the month. So I was like, okay. So then the end of the month comes and I haven't received anything. I already got paid. I haven't seen the extra. And I was just like, okay. So I confronted this employer, and when I confronted this employer, they acted like they didn't know what I was talking about. And from that moment on, like I was like, okay, that's fucked up, you know? And like, again, if you can't afford it or you can't do it, then just tell me, you know. A lot of the things is, why do you have to beat around the bush? Like if you can't do it, just admit it. I'm very understanding if you say, hey, you know what, Jeanette, I know I promised you this, but this happened, and so I'm not too sure. Is there any way that we can work something out, or something, like something, instead of just leaving me out in the blue and forgetting what you said. And I understand that sometimes business owners forget things as well, but still, I still think it's fucked up, because you know, an employee is gonna remember what you say and take it, and a lot of the times they don't come through. They just don't come through. whether it's they're too busy, or just know that there might be some inconsistency with that. I'm not saying that's everyone, I'm just telling you guys that it is something that I have experienced. You know, just like how they only think about themselves, I have to think about myself too. Positive thing could be too that maybe they never mentioned to you, or maybe you can get an extra bonus, or maybe you can get an extra gift or whatever. Like I did have an employer that would always give me clothes. They would give me free clothes and stuff like that, and it was a nice way, just because I knew that maybe they couldn't technically afford to pay me more or give me extra, but just a little form of appreciation. So there is some, you know, there is a way that, because if you work at Forever, they're not going to give you free clothes, if that makes sense, on a corporation, because it's not in their rules. So that's another thing, is that it could be a positive thing, because maybe they can give you an additional $500 and you're like, what the heck, like, dude, that was nice, like I didn't even expect that. Which, as in, if you work for corporate, every money that you get extra has to be reported, so it's not like they could just give it to you because they want to, if that makes sense. Opinion really matters, so I think that's important as well, just because, like I said, if you are making a difference in the store, you actually show your progress, as opposed to in a corporate, sometimes you don't make such a big difference because it's so big that you're literally just an extra person to just keep it running, if that makes sense. So I like that your opinion really matters, and you kind of feel like in a way it's kind of your business as well, and you're contributing to it. Just feel a connection with it, and you feel like it's kind of you too. So I really like that your opinion matters, and it does make a difference. There's been instances where I recommend something and then we end up doing it and it looks super cool at the end, or it got like a good response or something, and it makes you feel good. It makes you want to work harder too. If you're passionate, if you're just trying to get a paycheck and get the fuck out, then obviously you don't care about that. But for someone like me, I've always tried to be passionate and try to create new innovative ideas. Now, as far as growing with the companies, has good and bad. It's good to grow with the company, because if the company does one day get really big and stuff, then you were right there when it was just 2 or 3 people, and maybe you can grow too, and you can be more on the top of the corporation. Other times you don't really grow because, you know, and money isn't trying to be invested in you. It's a small business or whatever, the economy's doing bad, whatever. So sometimes you don't grow, you're just literally repeating yourself. And for me, I'm a person that I don't like to have everything the same all the time. I don't like everything to be easy and the same. Like, I don't like that. I don't know why. I know maybe I sound stupid, like I don't want it to be super easy, but super easy gets me bored. Like, another thing I want to talk about is the competition and the drama with Instagram boutiques. Mostly all of them have always had someone, something, another company that they are not arguing against, but they have beef with. Now, whether they're bitches or they have the same thing, whatever, I don't know, I don't care. I don't feed into it, to be completely honest, you guys. But I do know that there is certain companies that don't get along and do stuff backfire and stuff, which is really stupid and immature to me. When people comment and try to make people fight because they're carrying the same thing, it's like, okay, it's a fashion district, what the fuck do you expect? Like, people are gonna carry the same thing. Come up with a new idea and the other person takes it. It's like, okay, like, come on. Some people sometimes will ignore you. Like, I've had instances where people have ignored me or gave me attitude or have treated me different because I work for a certain boutique and they have personal issues or whatever it is with that boutique, and like, then I get ignored. And it's like, okay, just because I work there doesn't mean that I feel the same way with you or that I'm trying to fight you. Like, I don't know, it's immature. Like, I honestly think it's immature, and that is maybe something that you are going to be working with, especially because there's no HR, there's no corporate, there's not like rules where people are like, oh, don't talk like that or don't be like that, like, or, you know, you'll get in trouble for saying this. Like, it's very owned by like a person, so like it gets, I don't know what's the word for it, but you can kind of like talk shit easily. Another thing that I really liked is that there is a lot of flexible schedules. A lot of the times, because you build this relationship with these people or whatever, you know, you get days off more frequently, or more, if you could talk to them and tell them, hey, you know what, I really need Saturdays off because that's my freelance day, then they might give you that day off. If there's holidays, usually small companies don't work, so you know for sure every holiday you're gonna have it off. Or if you need to go somewhere for 3 weeks, you know, maybe you're, depending on your job title. For me, when I worked like doing like creative, graphic, marketing and creative shit, like I was able to kind of take off whatever days I wanted and come in whatever time I wanted. Not like that, but there is a lot of flexibility with the schedule. And I always think that it's really fun is that you get to be on your phone a lot. So because you're working social media, marketing, whatever, you're on your phone, you're taking pictures, you're doing floor pictures, like all that is, like, I guess technically fun and not that hard. I'm not gonna lie to you guys though, that is pretty tiring. It really is. It's hard, and you guys will only see that once you're actually there. And you know, you have to think of new ways to do things and new innovative ways. I feel like a lot of boutiques just copy off each other. On your phone a lot, you're answering DMs and everything. That's another thing, is that with Instagram boutiques you do get a lot of bullshit. So I am gonna be completely honest with you guys. You get bullshit questions, you get asked stupid questions on the daily. Sometimes, you guys, people go really fucking personal with you and they'll say mean things, and people talk to you however they want because you're on Instagram. They don't give a fuck who you are. Like, people just lose all their morals and everything that they taught them and everything about being, you know, nice, respectful person. Like, it goes all out the window through social media. So I'm not gonna say everybody's like that, because obviously I have experience more in certain companies and less in certain companies. So it just really depends on how the owner reacts, how the business replies, and how to handle these things. Sometimes they're not handled as professional, and that's one thing. Is, you know, it's true, like, people always want to say, oh, like, you're not professional, but it's like, it's their business, they choose how they want to, but people still have that high expectation of you to be professional. But there is a lot of positive feedback, and people, you know, they get to know you and they start to love you, especially if you're a lot on social media, like on Instagram or Snapchat or whatever, or you make YouTube videos. They start to get to know you and build this relationship, and that is really nice as well. And the last thing I want to talk to you guys about is forming relationships with your employers or the business owners. So I will say that is a plus as well. Now you kind of become friends and you're doing so much for them that, you know, like, you're investing a lot of your time and everything, and they kind of start to form a relationship with you. That's good and that's bad. Now, the reason why I think that's bad is because you get such a relationship, like, you form such a relationship and you're so cool with them that sometimes you feel like you can't say something that you feel because it's gonna get offended, or it's gonna get dirty, or it's gonna get mixed up. And I feel like becoming like a friend isn't really always a good idea, just because, again, you start to take things personal, and so does the employer, and it just could get messy depending on your guys' attitudes. I've always tried to be really chill. I've worked with so many girls, like, jobs in general, like employees or like co-workers, and I've never had a problem with anybody, like literally anybody. Like, I've never gotten in a fight with anyone because I'm just really chill, and I don't care. Like, if someone comes and talks shit about me and tells me don't talk to that girl, I'm not gonna not talk to her because they didn't personally do something to me. I kind of have a personality where, you know, I kind of let things go, but at the same time I don't let myself, and I stand up for myself. And when I don't think something's right, then I say it. Employers don't like that, because some employers want somebody that's gonna say agree to everything or whatever. Sometimes that could cause a problem because you disagree or you don't disagree. So at the end of the day, I'm not naive to think like, oh, it has to be my way. Like, if I give a suggestion and then they turn it around and they want it, that's their business. Fuck it, that's what they want, you know. Then I have to agree with it. So it is good and bad, and it's good because, again, you form a relationship, and, you know, work is fun, it's easy, it doesn't feel like super heavy, like, you know. And when you have fun days, it's fun, you know. It's fun. You get to talk shit within yourselves, you get to joke around. I have formed good relationships for the most part. I always try not to take it personal, but I could see for a lot of people that it will be super hard not to take it personal. Even employers, I feel, have taken stuff personal from me. And, you know, yeah, that's one thing I will say, is that you form a really nice relationship, but you never know how it's gonna end up, and you don't know if you're gonna end up in a fight later or if you're gonna end good terms. Like, it just depends. So I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video or you found it helpful. Please let me know what you guys think, and if you have worked for an Instagram boutique, and what was your opinion. What do you think? Do you want to work for an Instagram boutique? I'm appreciative of the opportunities. I have learned so much, and I feel like I could really take all the skills and everything that I have learned and really make something. So at the end of the day, again, I'm not bashing anyone, I'm just literally saying the truth. And yeah, I hope that you guys appreciate it. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.